This is the moment when I realized it's over. The moment where there's nothing I could do to save the car. Right now, I know I'm about to crash hard into the barriers, get some fractures, and that I'll have to spend all the season budget to rebuild the car. But how did I get here? Well, it's an incredible story after all. Those stories where everyone tells you you're not gonna make it. I was born in 1990 with a huge passion for motorsports. Actually, I don't know where it comes from because my family doesn't even know what a kart is. But that passion was always there. It was probably hard-coded in my DNA. And all I can say is that that's the purest form of passion. Because it's real. Because it's natural. Well, there was just one problem. Our financial situation was terrible. We were struggling to pay the bills, and can you imagine racing? Impossible. So, as soon as I realized that I wanted to be a race driver, at the age of 16, I started to look for a way to fulfill my dream. That was an impossible dream, but I didn't care. I started racing with simulators in the hope of getting noticed by someone. I graduated in software engineering, hoping to create the new Silicon Valley unicorn, get rich and get the money to pay the racing. I launched my startup selling videos to racing drivers to pay my bills and tried to get money. I studied communication, acting. I even won a talent show for racing drivers on television, where they even paid me a racing season as a prize. Guess what? None of them worked. I mean, I did one championship as driver, as a prize for the talent show, but it didn't go well. So I spent 11 years of my life trying to find a way to become a race driver, working 7 days a week. But in the end, I could not. So I gave up. Obviously not. I kept looking hard for ways to race. Until in 2017, 11 years later, I started making YouTube videos, and those videos unexpectedly exploded. Hundreds of thousands of subscribers, people passionate about motorsports, and thanks to them, I found a sponsor and I finally started racing. Well, I still was a bit poor, so the only affordable thing I could race on were the motorcycles, which are much cheaper than the cars. So that's how I started. First championship 2018. It was really hard to learn to race a 1000cc starting from zero. Because yeah, I didn't know how to ride a bike. But at least I tried, and I tried so hard. The first year was okay, but the second year, I tried too hard. Five ribs and collarbone broken. So I gave up? Obviously not. 25 days later, I was back on track for the first race of the second season. That was the most incredible championship of my life. Lots of fights, until in the last corner of the last race, I won the title. Wow. Everything was going great, until 2020. Third year of racing, the worst crash of my life. That's exactly a career-ending injury. So I gave up. Obviously not! I can't race with bikes, so let's put 2 more wheels and start racing with cars. In 2021, I did 3 championships with these 3 cars. In 2022, I raced in Euro Naska, but this time I lost the championship in the last race of the year. Yeah, a bit of karma from 2009. So here we are, 2023. This year, I will be racing with Legend Cars, Euro NASCAR and Mitjet, and you will see every race here in this channel. This is the English version of my Italian channel. I opened it in 2019, it grew a lot, lots of fun for the motorcycles, but then when I switched to cars, people stopped watching the videos and the algorithm decided to kill the channel for no reason. So now this channel is going to reborn. Here you'll find all my videos translated in English. Every race, every tutorial, every story. If you're passionate about motorsports, Formula 1 and cars, please subscribe, because this is the channel where you will understand what it truly means to be a race driver struggling to reach the top. So, back to us. I am on the Mitjet, and yes, I'm about to destroy the car. Okay, so what exactly just happened? This is the first racing weekend with the Midgets in Vallelunga, and I can truly say it's the worst racing weekend of my life. And you already know it from the previous video. We were the fastest overall in the pre-seasonal testings. In the FP1, the engine fails, but I make it to P3. In FP2, brake problem, my teammate crashes and the car is wrecked. No spare parts, so the mechanics worked all the night to fix it somehow. They finished putting it back together right before the qualifying, but there was no time to do the setup. It's almost undrivable and I start 17th. Once more, I do a stellar comeback during the race, despite the engine not pushing. Until someone, who looks like coming from the public lobbies of Gran Turismo, burnouts in the middle of the track and destroys my race. 7 cars overtake me and I do it all over again. Once more, an incredible recovery and I finish P10. Now, I'm super angry for that maneuver. But then the mechanics tell me, which I didn't know, that the first 10 cars will have the reverse grid for race 3. So, having finished P10, I will start from pole position. Finally, a great news. We just need to go out and celebrate. Yeah. The roads in Italy, especially around Rome, are horrible. I hit the bump and broke 2 wheels. Guys, this is the unluckiest weekend of my life. Please, please, just tell me that the bad luck is over. Please. So, we start in pole position. Yesterday, everybody, even the tow truck was passing me on the straight. I don't know what to do. I just hope that nobody passes me on the start, and then I hope to fly away in the corners. What can I say? I mean, I don't think all that difference is due to the aerodynamics. I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no. That's a big mystery for us. Do you know what happens when you start on pole position with a rolling start, with an engine not performing, with 27 cars behind you? What happens is what you're about to see, which is that the cars around you pass you, of course, and you literally get sucked into the whole group. And when you race with calm and fair drivers, it usually goes smoothly, okay? You just lose a few positions and accept the fact that you can't win today. But sometimes, unfortunately, it happens that inside this group there is somebody who wants to win the race in the first corner. And this is exactly what happened to me.
For BPM or 67% of max heart rate, calories burned, 4.
Mi ha dato una botta quello là di là. Io mi sono solo sentito sbalzare. C'è quello che mi ha chiuso così. Non so, io mi ricordo che mi sono trovato a panino tra 2 macchine, mi ha toccato lui di qua e io ho toccato te. Mi spiace. Anch'io. Faticavo un po' a respirare, ma adesso sta tornando. Sto aspettando un attimo per vedere se le costole sono a posto. Ho solo sentito una botta forte qua Ci ho messo un minuto a respirare. Adesso mi alzo e provo a muovermi per vedere le costole. No, adesso...
There are many things to say about the crash, so let's go in order. First, I will tell you how I felt, and then we will see the dynamics. Now, many people told me that must have been scary. Actually, not. Probably I've been into so many crashes with a motorcycle that I'm kind of used to crash, so I wasn't scared at all. I just realized that there was nothing more I could do, so I was just waiting for the impact. And in that moment, I remembered what my teammate told me from NASCAR, Max Lanza. He told me that once he crashed and kept the hand on the steering wheel, and the impact to the wall was so hard that the steering wheel turned so quickly that he broke his wrist. So the most important thing you need to do if you're going to crash into the wall is release the steering wheel. So remembering that, I took my hands off the steering wheel and I saved my wrists. Now, the hit was very hard. The other car, Claudio Capelli, actually did hit the tire barriers with some kind of angle, while I hit the barriers and his car perpendicularly. So I did like this. From telemetry, I hit at 80 kilometers an hour, which, trust me, is a lot. Michael Schumacher in 1999, when he broke his legs, hit the barriers at 108 kilometers an hour. So a speed close to mine. In the impact, the compression was so hard that my diaphragm paralyzed for like 30 seconds. That was a strange feeling, I don't know if you ever felt it, but I could not control it. I tried to breathe out, but I couldn't. The only thing I was able to do was to breathe in. And that's why you heard me doing that kind of weird noise. Yeah, I was trying to breathe. So when I realized I had no big damage, I walked out of the car with just a big pain in the back. Well, now, the next days were not pleasant, especially after 10 days. The highest pain was after 15 days. And it was strange because during the day, everything was fine, but during the night, disaster. I had to take very strong painkillers because I wasn't able to sleep. And that's weird. Usually you feel pain when you're standing, not when you're sleeping. So this is how I woke up one morning. Yeah, I was really suffering. And the highest pain was the bill of the damage. This is it. 34,500 euros plus VAT of damage, which is a lot. Luckily, we have an insurance that covers part of it, so we will have to pay 16,500 euros, which still is a lot, which is all the budget that I imagined to pay in damage for this season. And we made just one race. Now, let's come to the incident to try and understand what happened. I have a reasonably good start, but as you saw, the engine was not performing properly, and I got overtaken by everyone. So the blue car behind me tries to pass me, so I close the door, but he keeps trying and eventually finds a way to pass. So at that point, I move to the left to leave him the space, and the next corner is a very fast corner to the right. But even if he didn't overtake me completely, he decides to prepare the right-hand corner. So what does he do? He keeps moving to the left, not considering that there are other 27 cars around him, so he can't do what he wants. So considering that I'm not transparent, he hits my car, he sends me against Capelli, and we both end up into the wall. 80,000 euros of damages overall, 2 drivers in the hospital, and you know what? The driver got the podium. So, watching the replay from the outside, there was the doubt that he was touched by somebody behind. You see, it looks like, okay? But if we watch the onboard footage, we can see that the white car was like 1 meter behind, so he wasn't touched. He did everything by himself. So in the end, he got a 25-second penalty, so from the podium, he ended up 20th. Now, I don't want to create a controversy, but I want this video to be an example of what not to do in a race start. Because we're not in Formula 1, we don't have the team who pay our damages, we're all people who on the Monday go to work and need to find the money to pay the races. So you can't do a maneuver like that in the race start. So what's wrong with the maneuver? Look at where all the other cars are Look at the line they are going to take. They are all to the right. Now look at the blue car. He's moving to the left. So, you got a better start? Great. Your engine is better so you can overtake the car ahead? Great. You want to get alongside even if there is no space? Okay. But if you take that line, you have to keep that line. You can't change line like that with 27 cars around you. And if the line you chose is not good for the corner you're going to do, you lift. Exactly like I did last year with the legend cars in the same track in the same corner. I overtook the car in front of me, I was all in the inside, and I kept the inside. And at that point, considering that I wasn't able to do the corner flat because I was all in the inside, I lifted. And I let the cars overtook me again. That's how you do a safe start. You can't change line like that with 27 cars around you. So, with the driver, after the race we talked, but when we talked we still didn't know who was responsible for the crash, so there was nothing we could say. But once they penalized him so he knew he was responsible, he didn't even come to say, "Are you okay? I'm sorry." He didn't care at all. So I don't expect everybody to be friends, but at least to fake that you care about the others when you send two people to the hospital. So there are people like Claudio Capelli who didn't know anything about the crash. He just saw my car crashing into his car. So after the crash, he had every reason in the world to come to me and insult me. And instead, what did he do? He came to me, he shook my hand and asked me, "Are you okay?" Claudio is an example of a real gentleman. And then we have people who don't care about the other drivers. I mean, I don't know what to think. I really want to think it was a mistake. After what happened in 2021, I lost a bit of trust in my opponents, but I really want to think it was a mistake. Let me clear something out. Anybody who chooses to race in a race car accepts the risk that he can crash the car, he can get hurt even without fault, okay? And that if you crash, you have to pay your own damages. Okay, I accept it. I'm not here for complaining it. I'm just here to send a message that in these kind of races, where we're all struggling to find the budget, you can't win the race in the first corner. If you have a good start and overtake the cars, keep that line. Because if you change it in an unpredictable way, you cause a disaster like this one. And if you do so, please at least show some respect and say sorry.